Contenders tier 2. We're calling this I Want to Believe. I'm really close to putting these guys in the top tier. We're starting with the Chargers. I think the Chargers made the best offensive coach hire, the biggest upgrade in the league, grabbing Mike McDaniel. Folks, the guy knows offense. You can hate on his look all you want, South Beach Mike, make fun of him all you want. I'm just telling you guys, he knows offense. Him and Herbert are going to cook. Herbert gets the tackles back. I think we're really talking about a stacked offense in LA, and I think they're close. The problem is, I can't put them in the top tier if Herbert hasn't won a playoff game. I need to see it. I know they will, but to the Super Bowl, that's a bit of a leap.
This is not a stretch at all. The man simply hasn't had a sufficient roster around him to succeed. What more do you want from him? He finally has the roster, the health, and the coaching staff all aligned simultaneously. Say your prayers, San Diego, or Los Angeles, whichever you prefer. The roster, the health, and the coaching staff are all in place at the same time. Take the leap. Take the leap. There is no valid reason not to believe in the Los Angeles Chargers, San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers. Before we get started, though, I want to extend a request to all the Chargers fans out there. Please, please, please do not forget to subscribe and watch the full-length video, because that is without question the best way to support this channel. It allows us to keep having the most impartial, well-reasoned, and transparent conversations about the Chargers. Your support makes a massive difference, and I truly, truly appreciate it. So this is really interesting because I'll show you the full list here. I didn't dive too deep into this particular ranking. There are so many lists and so many of these conversations floating around. Usually when I see a list like this, especially heading into the weekend when I know there won't be any shows for a couple of days, I'll say, okay, let me break some of this down. But I know I'm not going to go through every single team. I only made 3 videos based on this list, the Broncos and the Jaguars because they're at the very bottom, which caught my attention, and then the Chargers. It was really interesting to see where the Chargers landed, but I didn't actually see what was said about them until right now. And if everything that was said is true, which I believe it is, then there's no reason to hold this team back artificially. Why are we doing that? Simply because we haven't seen it before? That doesn't really make sense. Now, if Herbert had been on great teams in the past and then struggled in the playoffs, I could understand the skepticism. Then I could say, yeah, they made some upgrades and got some coaching, but will it be enough? If anything, you should have more doubts about a Dak Prescott or a Drake May. And again, you can give Drake May the benefit of the doubt because of his youth, but Dak is a different story. There are questions about Goff in big games, about Lamar Jackson, proven commodities like the Ravens. Yet we're still waiting to see a true, complete playoff performance from Lamar from start to finish in an actual competitive game against the Bills or the Chiefs, not just a wild card game against the Steelers or a weird game against the Texans. So I don't necessarily see that as a proven commodity. Same thing with the Packers, not quite there yet. I want to believe in the Bills, I really do. But the Chargers? They check the boxes. They check all the boxes. They did the things. They made the moves. I had an aha moment while making that Jaguars video about them being overhyped. I was thinking about what Nick said regarding the Jags potentially being a one-off team, and it made me reflect on how I always put teams on a 3-year timeline. When they make specific moves, or even in general, that's the framework I use. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, and I said, okay, the intention isn't to go back-to-back now. It's within the next 3 years with this core to win another Super Bowl. That's just how my mind works, that's how I look at things. I first aired out that take with the Chargers when they got Harbaugh. I said, this is amazing. This is a celebration. There's a 3-year window now. You brought in Harbaugh, 3-year timeline. That's why I thought it was ridiculous when Nick tried to paint the Chargers as having to win this year with no more excuses. He did the same thing the following year, even though there were plenty of reasons they wouldn't win, the offensive line, all of that. The reality is that last year they obviously would have been a lot better if they had been healthy. But if you're looking at that 3-year timeline from 2024, 2025, and now 2026, this is easily the most excited, the most pumped, the most optimistic you should feel about the Chargers. This is the most you should feel in general of the entire Justin Herbert era. I realized it fit that 3-year timeline perfectly. Absolutely, positively perfectly. It all came together when I was making that Jaguars video. Wow, this 3-year timeline, they really stuck the landing. And it's because it takes time. That first year, you're trying to figure out what you actually have. What's the real story? Harbaugh has to get into the room. The second year, they made changes from that first year. We didn't get to see the full effect because of all the injuries and the decimated offensive line, but there was still plenty to learn. Harbaugh then realized, I need to upgrade coaching. We need a significantly better coach. There's better coaching available. And he went out and got it. Now, in that third year, Harbaugh understands who Herbert is. That helps the transition. You have the upgraded coaching, the upgraded offensive line, the upgraded weapons, the upgraded defense. You have it all. Everything is in place. So what's there not to love? What's there not to believe in? There's everything to believe in. The only counter-argument is, Justin Herbert has to win a playoff game. I've already debunked that. I've already shown that if they won a playoff game against the Patriots, it would have been with the worst offensive line in NFL history. Against the Texans, that line got destroyed. I made a whole video breaking down the Texans-Chargers game versus the Texans-Chiefs game, and it was one of my favorite videos I've ever made. Mahomes fans were crying about it, even though it was the most unbiased play-by-play breakdown that just showed you how one team played versus the other. There was simply nothing there for the Chargers. The offensive line was a mess, the players were. Ain't great, the coaching wasn't great. They just weren't there. Certainly not Justin Herbert's fault. And the playoff game before that under Staley, different year, I don't even count those years, but that was clearly a mess. He was a mess of a coach, and the entire coaching staff was a mess. Herbert played well enough to win that game. It wasn't his fault. He's not calling the plays. So there's just nothing to not believe in, unless you don't understand context. J-Mac actually made a point once that stuck with me. I'll never be able to find the exact clip because it was a random transition moment, but Colin and J-Mac were having some banter. There was a bit of agitation, and J-Mac came back and said, "Isn't it our job to contextualize? To add context to this conversation?" I don't remember the exact topic, but the point was clear. Adding context is a big part of what the media does, what I try to do in these videos. But you can't add context and then ignore it. You can't add context to Herbert's failures and the Chargers' struggles, and then not apply the lessons you've learned. It doesn't make sense to do that because then you're not actually applying the context. Sure, you're saying the context out loud, but then you're just standing on the sidelines being non-committal. The only reason not to believe is the health factor. Please just stay healthy. They haven't had as bad of luck as the 49ers in terms of health, but when you look at Herbert's career as a whole and all the us key pieces that have gone in and out at various moments, it's been a little rough. So as long as they can stay marginally healthy, the Chargers are absolutely in business. I'm not going to go through the whole list because the ranking itself doesn't really matter to me, it's the conversation about the Chargers that I find most interesting. If you believe in the context, then you should believe in the Chargers. It's that simple. If you believe it's the San Diego Los Angeles Chargers and not just the Los Angeles Chargers, then you believe in the Chargers. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the San Diego Los Angeles Chargers? Do you want to believe? Do you understand the context? Do you think they're finally ready to ball? Finally, Chargers charging to the moon. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree. Let's get into some discussions, get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.